We're here at the Republican convention with former presidential candidate Herman Cain. Let's talk a little bit about day one.
Yes.
Melania's speech. What did you think about the speech? Did you like what you heard from her?
Melania's speech was great because she showed compassion. She showed her true self. She didn't try to be somebody else, and that naturalness came through. I think that was great. One of the other great speeches of the night was the former Navy SEAL, Mr. Marcus Lassiter. He was moving, compassionate. Best part of his speech was when he said, you know, I'm not used to reading this stuff, so I'm just going to go off the cuff. And man, you could feel chill bumps. That was great. And then he closed with, this is how much I was paying attention. He closed with, I fought for this country for 20 years, and I'm going to take the next 20 years thanking the American people for giving me that opportunity. My head went boom. What are you supposed to say? It was great. Here's the other thing. There was a big flap on the floor, but that flap isn't going anywhere. And hopefully they will get over it, get a good night's sleep, and start coming together so we can win this thing, because they are losing sight of the ultimate biggest goal to defeat Hillary Clinton.
As you know, a lot of polls are showing favorability ratings for Trump and Hillary. Both are pretty high in terms of unfavorable ratings.
Right.
What can Donald Trump specifically do to turn that number around, his unfavorable rating?
Get his substance, his message, his proposals through the clutter. He was the first candidate to talk about replacing the tax code where rates go down. That's going to help boost the economy and create jobs. To talk about get this through the clutter. Talk about repeal and replace Obamacare. He says it, but it gets filtered out on the nightly news and some of the liberal media areas. Balancing the budget, yes. Fixing the VA. These sort of things. He's already put his list out of potential Supreme Court justices. His message needs to get out, and I think that'll help his favorability.
When it comes to issues like illegal immigration, for example, Hillary Clinton's going to say the Democrats are the welcoming party. The Democrats are open. They want diversity in America, and Republicans want to shut people out. How do you think Donald Trump is going to be able to overcome that message? It's going to be a heck of a race against Hillary on that issue particularly.
Here's how he overcomes that message. Let Hillary keep telling that lie, because that's exactly what it is. The American people are smarter than the Democrats give them credit for. I get calls all the time. They understand that that's not a racist statement to say that we need to protect our borders. It's not a racist statement that we need to know more about the people coming here before we let them here. They get it. The Democrats are playing the voters for fools. Now, maybe some of the Democrats are going to drink the Fool-Aid, but independents and conservatives and Republicans, they're not going to drink the Fool-Aid.
You were famous for the 999 plan.
Yes.
Donald Trump, his tax plan. From what you've heard so far, what's the area you think is the best about his tax plan, and what area do you think needs some work?
The best part about his tax plan, lower the highest personal rate 25%, the highest corporate rate 25%. That's a long way from the nearly 40%, which we had one of the highest in the world. I like that. The rate on capital gains. Those are great, great, great things. The areas that I think that he probably could use some improvement with respect to how in a tax code depreciation is treated. I would like to see 100% write-off of any capital you spend for your business. But he's got to tweak the numbers to make sure he can make up that kind of revenue. And I can understand how coming out of the blocks, he's just working on lowering the rates, but they're going to need to work on some more on the whole depreciation part of that whole plan.
Have you met with him at all on tax issues, particularly?
Not on tax issues. I've talked to him several times. He's been on my radio show. He's the only presidential candidate since last June who has been on my radio show 3 times. He is the only presidential candidate of the Republicans who called me before he ran, or before the only one to ask me some advice. I talked to him for 20 minutes. I don't mind telling you. It was a 20-minute call, and I said, here is the only advice I need to give you. I don't need to give you any advice about campaigning and all of the other things that are important in terms of perception and substance. I said, you can afford to have multiple lawsuits. I couldn't. Be prepared, because they're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at you, and they have, and it has not worked.
Some attendees here are saying the feeling is different. even compared to 2012 with Romney. Even some of the feeling with like donors, for example.
Yeah.
Do you have that impression as well? There's less of a donor presence here in the Trump campaign?
The feeling is different. You know what the feeling is? The voice of the people. That's what makes it different. You don't have an Ivy Leaguer up there giving you some scripted rhetoric that you don't understand what it is. You got a guy talking from the heart. You got other people coming up. That's the difference. The motto of this convention is the voice of your vote, your voice. Your voice, your vote. That is the difference. That's the difference that some of the establishment people are missing. But I got to tell you, the American people are not missing it. That's why Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee.
You open to serving in his cabinet?
I am open to serving in his cabinet if I'm asked. I'm not going to cry if he doesn't ask me. In fact, I'm going to be wrestling with, do I take a cut and pay? I don't know if I can handle that. I have a happy life. I have a good life. I love what I'm doing. But for the good of the country, depending upon what it is, obviously it's something that you would have to consider.
At the GOP convention in Cleveland, I'm Nicholas Spalacy.